بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. كلية إمام كان أقسام الديوانية قسم اللغة الإنجليزية، المرحلة الثالثة، مادة اللغة، علم اللغة، تدريس الأستاذ محمد حسين البدري. في البداية نحب نبارك لكم شهر رمضان المبارك، ونسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى يقبل جميع طاعاتكم إن شاء الله. هاي آخر محاضرة بهذا الفصل إن شاء الله. Today we are going to talk about the traditional analysis, okay, and structural approach. In the previous lecture we talked about traditional grammarian, okay, about the grammar, about the different parts of speech, and about gender also. So today we're going to talk about traditional analysis and some other important terms. With the traditional analysis here, if you remember, we talked about this point about traditional analysis, about traditional grammarians, okay, traditional grammar, and how grammars, for whether English grammars, Germanic, other Italian, Spanish grammars, all of them are what influenced by Latin, and how Latin is what is the basic, is the perfect system of rules for most of the languages, for most of Indo-European languages. Okay, so here we have one example about the use of, for example, of verbs here, subject and verb. I love, you love, she loves, we love, you love, they love, and this is what in Latin, and how they are similar, they are somewhat similar. So we have here as if what we have similarity, okay, describing the different pronouns here. So the different pronouns with the verbs, and this is of course the fluence of Latin. So we will see the fluence of Latin, only the fluence of Latin on here on the pronouns and verbs, or there is another fluence. Okay, this is a point here. In English it makes more sense to say the categories describe different pronouns. So the influence of Latin goes beyond the types of the descriptive labels. So we will see, and we will know what is the prescriptive approach and descriptive approach. And we talked about these two terms, if you remember, and here we have simple repetition for the what is a prescriptive approach. So if here it is one thing to adopt the grammatical labels, noun, verbs. Sometimes, English language adopts some grammatical labels from Latin, noun, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, okay, to categorize words in English sentences. So they adopt certain grammatical labels, as we have seen with the above, with traditional analysis. So it is quite another thing to go on to claim that the structure of English sentences should be like the structure of sentences in Latin. So if we have the same here, if we have the same labels, the same grammatical labels, so the structure is the same in Latin. Okay, let's see. That was an approach taken by a number of mentioned grammarians. Okay, it is what taken by this approach. So this approach is taken by grammarians. And remember, we talked about these terms. We said that grammarians, this term grammarians refers to what? To those who were in 18th century. Okay, I mean those who have this certain theories, certain approaches before the appearance, or before creating a new term. For example, linguistics, to put it simply, before linguistics comes to light, there were no linguistic or linguistics. I mean, no linguistic as a word. no linguistic, linguistics, linguistics يعني لغويون, linguistic as an adjective, or linguistics as a term. There was what? Grammar. Okay, grammar, grammarians. So this was what? Taken by those grammarians, this approach, who set rules for the proper use of English. So this is what we mean by prescriptive approach. Those grammarians, they want to put rules for the proper use of English. This view of grammar as a set of rules is still to be found today, and maybe this still found. Okay, so it is characterized by prescriptive approach. Prescriptive approach. See here. So prescriptive approach is an approach by grammarians, by influential grammarians in 18th century England, who set out rules for the proper use of English. Okay, we have here some examples, familiar examples. For those grammarians give some examples. They put some rules, like what? They said, you must not spell it infinitive. You must not spell it infinitive. Second rule, these are familiar. We are familiar with them and they are famous. You must not end the sentence with a preposition. See here? These two rules. You must not end a sentence with a preposition. Following these types of rules, traditional teachers, you see? Traditional, not modern teacher, with correct sentences like, who did you go with? Okay, who did you go with? Here we have with at the end. So those prescriptive approach, in a prescriptive approach, grammarians what? Said, don't put with, at, for, to at the end of sentence. So they correct to with whom did you go, making sure that the preposition with was not at the end of the sentence. So they correct. So traditional, you see, traditional teachers correct such kind of sentences. They say that they are wrong. And Mary runs faster than me would be corrected to Mary runs faster than I. Me, certain I becomes I. These are rules. And you see, and me and my family would certainly have to be corrected. My family and I. You see. And in a proper English writing, one should never begin a sentence with I. Don't begin a sentence with I. You see here? It may be, in fact, be a valuable part of one's education to be made aware of linguistic etiquette. What is linguistic etiquette here? For the proper use of the language, etiquette, linguistic etiquette. If it is a social expectation that someone who writes well should obey these prescriptive rules, then social judgment or judgments, such as poorly educated, may be made about someone who does not follow these rules. Okay, so this is with what? With traditional grammarians. They focus on linguistic etiquette. They focus on how to use perfect grammatical sentences following the rules of Latin, Latin grammar. Okay, and they have certain opinions about certain languages or certain dialects or accents. They say, for example, this dialect is primitive, this is not primitive, this is poorly educated, this is highly educated, etc. However, it is worth considering the origins of some of these rules and asking whether they are appropriately applied to the English language list. So here we have, let's take one example about you must not spell it infinitive. Do we follow Latin or not? Okay, is Latin applicable to English system, grammatical system? Here we have this Captain Kirk's infinitives. Captain Kirk's. Captain Kirk. Captain Kirk. Captain Kirk's infinitive here. The infinitive in English has the form to plus the base form of the verb. Okay, this in English we have what? Form to plus the base form of the verb. This is in English. To go, I want to play, I want to eat, I want to pray. I can be used with adverb. Okay, so and can be used with adverbs such as boldly at the beginning of each televised Star Trek episode. One of the main characters, واحد character اسمه Captain Kirk, not Captain Kirk, always use the expression to boldly go. Always said to boldly go. This is what split infinitive. He split infinitive. To boldly go. Captain Kirk's teacher might have expected him to say to go boldly. Okay, to go boldly. Or boldly to go. You see? To go boldly or boldly to go. But what? Kirk split infinitive. He put what? Boldly between to and go. So the adverb didn't split the infinitive. Here did not split. And here what? At the end. And here what? At the beginning. But Kirk, what did he say? This is in the middle between to and go. So that the adverb didn't split the infinitive. If Captain Kirk had been a Roman space traveler speaking Latin, he would have used the expression, this expression air, to go in Latin. IRE, it means to go. And odactor, boldly it means. Air odactor. Now in saying air odactor in Latin, Cabatinius Caraccius changes his name, would not even have the opportunity to split his infinitive, because Latin infinitives are single words and just do not split it. So, to put it simply, here it's somewhat difficult. Here, because Latin word to go, only one word. In English, we have two words: to go, to one, go, to. So, two words: to go. In Latin, for these two words, we have one word. Okay, and when we put IRE with odicar, and here IR odicar, we don't have split it. Okay, do not split it. It would be very appropriate in Latin grammar to say you cannot split it. So in Latin grammar, it's okay. It is appropriate to say you cannot split infinitive. But is it true? Is it appropriate to do this, to carry this? You see here, is it appropriate to carry this idea over into English, where the infinitive form does not consist of a single word but of two words, to and go? You see here, this is a good question. In Latin, because only two words. IR, odicar, okay? But in English, we have to go, or boldly, three words. So we put boldly between to and go. So is it appropriate to carry this idea? In other words, معنى is it appropriate to apply this Latin rule to English grammar or not? Let's see. If it is typical feature of the use of English that speakers and writers regularly produce forms such as to boldly go, to solemnly swear to, or to never ever say goodbye, then we may simply wish to note that there are structured English that differ from those found in Latin. Rather think of the English form as bad because they are breaking a rule of Latin. Okay? I will put it in other words. أحطيه معنى ثاني. إنه أو conclusion خلاصة. إنه the traditional grammarian think that if you split infinitive, what? The grammar is what? Is bad. Why? Because you are breaking a rule. You don't follow the rule of Latin grammar. This is traditional grammarians. Okay? Traditional grammarians because Latin grammatical rule reads or says that you should not, or you must not spell it. Don't spell it. So when English speakers spell it infinitive, it is bad. Why? Because they are breaking grammatical rules. But those, the new or the descriptive or new approach says that in English we have more than one word, because in Latin only one word to go to terjem translated IRA. So it is okay, it is applicable, it is appropriate. It is appropriate in Latin. But in English it is not appropriate. Okay, it is not appropriate. Why? Because we have more than one word. And then conclusion here كالآتي as it is. Each language has its own rules. Each grammar has all rules, has own system. Okay? What can be appropriate, applicable to Latin is not necessary. What? It is not necessary to be applicable to English grammar. Is this interesting, inshallah? I hope the idea is clear. The descriptive approach, it may be that using a well-established grammatical description of Latin is a useful guide for some European, languages, Italian, Spanish. So descriptive, we have prescriptive and we have descriptive. So it may be useful for European languages, Italian, Spanish. It's less useful for others, for example, English, and maybe absolutely what? Misleading if you are trying to describe some non-European languages, for example, Arabic or Persian. Okay, that's why when we want to study or know about Italian or Spanish languages, we will see that they are similar. Why? Because they have one. Their mother. They are branches of the same mom, same mother. Latin, from Latin, Italian, Spanish, English. Okay, for example, English translation in Spanish, just change shin to sion. Translation, sion, in this way here. Okay, collection. So it will be like Spanish, more than 30% or 40% is like English. Okay, because they are from the same mom here. So we can, or it may be useful if we follow, or if we apply the rule for Latin in Italian, Spanish, less maybe in English, but other languages, no, they are totally different. This last point became clear to those linguists. You see here, linguists. With descriptive approach, we have what? Linguists. But with prescriptive, we have what? We have grammarians. Okay? Who were trying to describe the structure of native languages of North American toward the end of 19th century. The categories and rules that were appropriate for Latin, see here, just didn't seem to fit these languages. Okay? Not necessarily enough. What was applicable, what was appropriate for Latin grammar, did not just fit to those or to fit these languages. As a consequence, for most of the 20th century, a rather different approach was adopted. So, different approach adopted. Why? Because the traditional approach failed. Analysts connected samples of the languages they were interested in and attempted to describe regular structure of the languages as it was used. You see, this is descriptive. What did they do? So analysts, linguists, analysts the same, collected samples of the languages they were interested in and attempted to describe the regular structures of the languages as it was used by people, not according to some view of how it should be. This is called what? Descriptive approach. This is called descriptive approach. What people say, not what they should say. Prescriptive, what people should say. Here, what people say. They don't give rules. Here we have structural approach from structuralism اللي هي in Arabic معناتها البنيوية أو التحليل البنيوي. One type of descriptive approach is called structural approach. Its main concern is what? Structural approach investigate the distribution of forms in language. This is a structural approach. The distribution of forms in a language. The method involves what? What does it involve? Involves the use of the test frames that can be sentences with empty slots in them. Alhamdulillah. So this is the definition of structural analysis. For example, here we have slot فراغ يعني شوفوا in your book. Don't know where. Right, yes. The slot makes a lot of noise. Put in this. What can you put? I had a slot yesterday. So there are a lot of forms that can fit into these slots. You can put a lot to produce good grammatical sentences. You have the, then you can put what? Car, child, donkey. We have a car, a child, a donkey, a dog, a radio. You see, this is what structural approach. You can know the grammatical sentences from this way. As a result, we can propose that because all these forms fit in the same test frame, they fit. Okay, this is important. Sometimes even كلش نقطة مهمة بنسوي حتى فراغات بالمستقبل بنسوي بالامتحان. Try to avoid put sentences in this way and نحاول نتجنب. مثلا نقول I heard a slot فراغ. هنا بالاختيارات راح يكون choices مثلا نخلي 5 ممكن 3 نخليه they start with vowel يبدأ vowel فياخذن a n. فهنا الطالب مثلا راح يستبعد شلون هسه انتو بالخيار راح تستبعد دنم الفاول فتروح تدني الكونسونانت 2 تختار واحدة من الاتي. you see here فشوف الجرامر هنا ساعدك because you put the إذا ما دام خليت the هنا هي possible it's impossible to put verb ما يصير تخلي verb هنا the play مثلا the play makes ما يصير إذا ما عندك يعني verb بالجملة مثلا sentence تحتاج verb تمخلي the إذا هاي sentence راح تلغي هاي sentence. Okay, this is very important. So you can propose that because all these forms fit in the same test frame, they are likely to be examples of the same grammar. They are all the same grammatical category. This label, the grammatical category, is what? Noun. Okay, you can put noun here. However, there are many forms that do not fit those test frames. Example: Kathy, someone, the dog, a car. See, you cannot say the Kathy. قلنا هذا هنا the Kathy, the dog, the dog. You see. أنا أذكركم بعد أكثر بالمرحلة الثانية مرة جبتكم بالمحادثة مو بالمحادثة العفو بالreading مادة reading إنه خليتكم فراغات وتختار هاي مادة مع فراغات من الكتاب بالreading فاختار لكم مثلا إذا عندك الأسئلة حتى تقدر تطلعها تلقى إنه مختار لكم كل هنا أفعال الخيارات جوا وفوق الجمل كلها يحتاج أفعال هنا أنا ممكن حتى أحل المشكلة ما خلي ممكن جملة تحتاج noun وفعل ممكن أنت راح تستبعدها راح تطبق عليهم test frames you will know the grammatical sentence مثلا واحد he is ورا الاسم خلي أنت مثلا he is a teacher he is a teacher خلي مثلا بالاختيارات good مثلا sleep the of course he or she will choose good لأن صفة adjective before noun he is a good teacher you see here so this frame This frame, test frame is very important, and you can guess the words. Another we have, for example, I heard yesterday, makes a lot of noise, makes a lot. So what do we need here? You need subject, I heard. You need object, you can put here what? It, the big dog makes a lot of noise. For example, an old car, I, no, you cannot put I here. He makes, he, she, Annie, Di Franco, I heard the professor, I heard the old car. See? So here we have what? Noun phrase. Observing that it fits in the second set of test frames and not in the first, the it, can I say the it makes anagrammatical, allows us to prove on all the Latin influence analysis. So this is influenced by Latin. And in all the analysis of pronouns were described as words. Okay, nouns definition matter. Words used in place of nouns. Pronouns, words used in the place of nouns. But now, what? More accurate definition. Pronouns are used in the place of noun phrase, not only nouns, even noun phrases. Okay, the boy, the car, a boy, a car. This is noun phrase. By developing a set of test frames of this type and discovering which forms fill the slots in the test frame, we can produce description of at least some aspect of the sentence. You can go on. يعني ممكن تستمر، ممكن تبقى. You can apply it for verbs, adjectives, etc. Okay, so we arrive with this point. Thank you so much. If you have any question, you can ask. See you next course, second course.